Right, it's still the day after Boxing Day, but there is great excitement because a box of goodies has arrived from Haflinger Technic up in Scotland. The engine is very close to that used in the Steyr-Puck Haflinger, so yeah, let's see if we can get this thing to run again. It's a difficult one because I kind of just want to replace everything because that's a sensible idea, but I'd also quite like to know what's gone wrong, so I think I'm going to start by just replacing the condenser. Switch to a different view. So the condenser is this little device parked on the side of the distributor. So the distributor is what distributes the spark from the coil to each cylinder in turn. Now I've got new HT leads to go on. Something very interesting about HT leads that I'll try and show you in a bit. It's the way it goes through a hole in the casing, so you have to build the HT lead once it's threaded through there. Not quite sure I'll get the old one out yet. It's going to be fun trying to find out. But the condenser tries to control the spark, so you get a clean spark on the points inside the dizzy cap. Bit different now because we've got the SparkRite electronic ignition, but effectively the power still goes through the condenser. So if the condenser's duff, it still isn't going to work. But that unit takes the voltage load off the points and the condenser, so they should last longer. Some systems, like the one I've got on the 2CV, they do away with the condenser altogether, but this is essential. The wiring goes right through it, so I can't do away with the condenser, so I'm just going to replace it. Right, is life as simple as I would like it to be? Ignition, choke, a couple of squirts of that. Okay, that's sign of life, but that feels a little bit like we've got a fuel starvation issue, which is highly likely because I'm still running off a 2 litre bottle of pop. Let's bang some easy start in and see what happens. So there we go. I think we can say this little condenser has had it. I shall crack on with other service items. Right, that is the hole through which the HT lead should pass. The HT lead will go from the distributor cap here to the cylinder down there next to my petrol tank for temporary purposes. So I'm going to have to thread the new lead through there and then make it using my handy kit of parts. So we've got new cables, we've got ends, and we've got boots to hold the HT lead in the cylinder and stop air escaping as it cools, and then all these bits as well. So let's see if we can actually make all this work. Right, there's the first HT lead in place, connected both ends. The interesting bit, if I can find a way to show you, is here's the HT connector. There's actually a tiny screw thread in there, which you can't really see because it's not focusing. So you literally screw the HT lead into it, and it's the same with the black boot at the other end. So hopefully those will be sufficient. We'll see if it actually runs after I've connected these. So I've got the HT lead as one end, so I've already put the coil connector, sorry, distributor cap connector on that one, and it threads through that magic hole, and here's the other end where I'm about to screw this on. There's also this rubber gubbins that goes on the end of the HT lead to try and protect the end of the spark plug and stop moisture getting in. So that should be ideal for Wales, one hopes. Let's crack on. Right, we've got all the service parts fitted. It's time to see whether all that has been worth it. I've actually put the whole air filter assembly back on because that's just the sort of ridiculous man I am. Full choke. sounded a bit one-cylindery to me. Oh, there we go. So the reason for several minutes of running was to get the oil nice and loopy, and yeah, that's slightly questionable looking oil. I'm glad I'm changing it. I've also got a new filter which lives in this housing, so I've got to remove that housing, which I reckon will be a recipe for getting oil absolutely bloody everywhere. Still, needs must. Yep, I've got a bit of oil on the lens, which is why we've got beams of light. But that's looking pretty gloopy in there, so I'm going to see if I can clean that out a bit. Okay kiddies, this is why you disconnect ignition wires and then spin the engine up to oil pressure before you try starting it. Sadly the seal on the bottom of this filter housing is knackered, I think. Let's try and have a look at it. If you look down here, I mean, it's warped, it's hard, it's falling off. So I need to get me a new one of those seals, and until then I can't run the engine. There's the new filter, the nice new bit sits in there, inside that housing. But yeah, for the time being, project is on a stop. It's another chilly night, hence the hat. But as soon as I can't get the engine to run because the oil filter is broken, I'm going to take the exhaust back off because I've got new clamps to fit, lovely shiny ones, and I'm going to paint the exhaust with this extreme heat black paint to make it look better and stop it rusting. So stage one is get it off and then attack it with a wide brush, I think. Moog on Mighty Car Mods makes it look much easier than that. Shall we use my borescope to look into the fuel tank? Let's have a look. There we go. Fuel cap is retained by a chain. Oh, that's a sender unit there. Let's go further down. Oh, there we go. That's the bottom of the tank. And that doesn't seem too bad at all. I was expecting this to be all full of silt. Few bits of paint in there, but I think everything has leaked out because the main hose into the place has split. Ugh. Maybe that's too close. Right, I've been adding some hose clips to this fuel system because there weren't any at all. That was just held on by pure interference, and I wasn't very happy with that. These cars have a reputation for catching fire, and having your pump spraying petrol all over hot engine doesn't seem a good idea. And there we go, that's the inline fuel filter fitted. Nice little cavity for it to sit in here around the chassis. Look at the chassis, I mean there's a tiny bit of surface rust there, but it's in remarkable condition. And there's the single front wheel and some of the steering linkage. Yes, it is currently resting on a battery. So that's the fuel line now good all the way from the tank to the back. So next time I'm ready to run the engine, I will be able to actually start cranking. I need to secure the fuel line in a few places, but a few cable ties should do that. So I think I'll do that next. And unfortunately, while I await that oil seal, I shall have to leave it for another time. But don't worry, there will be further progress soon, and perhaps one or two problems. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you again in a future video. Farewell.